Imagine dedicating your life to love, only to discover it was all a lie, a deception so dark it led to your tragic end. This is the chilling story of Jessica Patel, a devoted wife who thought she was building a future, only to become a pawn in a deadly plan crafted by the one she trusted most. Hey true crime fans, I'm Eamon, and I'm thrilled to share crime tales across times with you. Each episode will explore a new case, examining the evidence and discussing the twists and turns. My goal is to create a community where we can discuss these cases, share our thoughts, and learn from each other. So, let's get started. Jessica Patel was born in 1983 into a large, loving Indian family in England. From an early age, she was known for her kind-hearted nature, quiet demeanor, and unwavering dedication to family. Raised with strong cultural and moral values, Jessica grew up in a home where kindness, respect, and hard work were instilled in her from childhood. Her parents, like many immigrant families, emphasized education, stability, and the importance of maintaining strong family ties. Academically, Jessica thrived, particularly in science and mathematics. She was meticulous, hardworking, and had an innate curiosity about the world. Her passion for helping others led her to pursue a career in pharmacy, a profession that perfectly blended her love for science with her compassionate nature. Friends and teachers admired her determination, calling her a perfectionist who never settled for less than her best. Jessica's belief in love and partnership was deeply traditional. She saw marriage as a sacred bond built on trust, companionship, and shared dreams. This belief shaped her decision to marry Mitesh Patel, a choice she made with the hope of building a beautiful future together. Little did she know that the man she trusted with her heart held dark secrets that would shatter her world. Mitesh Patel, born in 1982, was vastly different from Jessica in personality, though outwardly he appeared charming and ambitious. Raised in an Indian family in England, he grew up in a structured household where success and social standing were highly valued. From a young age, Mitesh displayed intelligence and business acumen, always looking for ways to get ahead. He was confident, sometimes overly so, believing that he was destined for bigger things. Unlike Jessica, who was naturally warm and nurturing, Mitesh had a more self-serving nature. He was calculating, always thinking a step ahead, and had an intense need for control. Those who knew him described him as charming and persuasive, but also manipulative. Mitesh was deeply concerned with appearances. He wanted people to see him as successful, respected, and in control of his life. His ambition extended beyond just career success. He wanted to be seen as the perfect husband, the perfect businessman, and the perfect son. But underneath this carefully curated image was a man struggling with secrets he wasn't willing to acknowledge. Jessica Patel and Mitesh Patel's paths crossed in a way that seemed like fate. Coming from similar Indian backgrounds, their families believed they were a perfect match. Their relationship followed a conventional route. After being introduced through family and community connections, they spent time getting to know each other under the watchful eyes of their loved ones. Jessica, ever trusting and hopeful, saw in Mitesh the promise of a lifelong companion, someone with whom she could share her dreams of building a successful home and career. Mitesh, however, saw Jessica as something else entirely, a convenient cover for the life he was secretly living. In 2009, the two were married in a traditional Indian ceremony, surrounded by family and friends. Jessica was radiant, hopeful, and ready to begin her new life as a devoted wife. Mitesh, too, put on the perfect performance, smiling, saying all the right things, and making everyone believe that this was the beginning of a beautiful love story. Shortly after their wedding, the couple moved into a new house in Linthorpe, Middlesbrough. It was supposed to be their marital home, a place where they would build their dreams together. Jessica, ever the optimist, put her heart into making their house a home. She decorated it with warmth, ensuring it felt welcoming and filled with love. She took pride in her role as both a wife and a pharmacist, working tirelessly alongside Mitesh to make their business flourish. For Jessica Patel, becoming a mother was a lifelong dream. She longed to start a family, believing that it would bring love and purpose to her marriage with Mitesh. However, their journey to parenthood was anything but easy. After years of trying to conceive naturally without success, Jessica and Mitesh turned to in vitro fertilization, IVF. Like many couples facing infertility, they had high hopes that medical intervention would finally make their dream of having a child come true. Jessica, ever patient and optimistic, endured the emotional and physical toll of fertility treatments. The process was grueling. Countless doctor visits, hormone injections, and the constant roller coaster of hope and disappointment. Each failed attempt left her devastated, but she remained determined, believing that one day they would finally hold their baby in their arms. But for Mitesh, IVF was never truly about building a family. While he outwardly supported Jessica's wish to have children, deep down, he resented the entire process. He had no real interest in fatherhood. His true desire was to live openly with his lover, Mitesh Patel, without Jessica in the picture. However, he never expressed this to Jessica. Instead, he played the role of the supportive husband while secretly plotting his escape from the marriage. The final IVF attempt by 2018, after multiple failed IVF cycles, Jessica was preparing for what would be their fourth attempt. This time, the process seemed more promising. Doctors had given them hope that this round could be successful. Jessica was thrilled, believing that she was finally close to becoming a mother. It was a quiet evening in Linthorpe, Middlesbrough. Jessica Patel, a dedicated pharmacist and beloved daughter, had just finished her shift at the pharmacy she ran with her husband. She returned home, unaware that she would never step outside again. On the night of May 14, 2018, Mitesh Patel made a frantic call to emergency services. He claimed that he had returned home to a horrifying scene. His wife, Jessica Patel, was bound and unresponsive. Their house had been ransacked, drawers pulled open, and belongings scattered across the floor. He insisted that an intruder must have broken in while he was out on a walk. At first glance, the crime scene looked like a burglary gone wrong. But something about it felt off. The disorder seemed too deliberate, too staged. Detectives immediately sensed that this was not a typical home invasion. One of the first things investigators examined was the home's CCTV system. The Patels had security cameras installed both inside and outside their house, cameras that should have captured the supposed intruder. When questioned about the footage, Mitesh told detectives that the cameras had not been working properly that day. This statement raised immediate suspicion. If the cameras were faulty, how could he be so sure about an intruder? Forensic specialists were called in to examine the system. What they found completely contradicted Mitesh's version of events. The recovered footage showed Jessica arriving home at 7 p.m. after finishing work at the pharmacy. She parked her car, walked inside, and closed the door behind her. Just minutes later, something chilling happened. The cameras were manually turned off. This raised several unsettling questions. Who had turned them off? And if this was truly a burglary, how had the intruder known to disable the cameras only after Jessica was inside? Investigators now knew that someone inside the house had switched off the cameras, and the only person inside at that time was Mitesh Patel. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered another crucial piece of evidence. Jessica's phone recorded movement until 7:04 p.m., then abruptly stopped. This pinpointed the likely moment of her death. Meanwhile, Mitesh's phone told a different story from the one he had told police. His phone data showed that he was inside the house the entire time Jessica was home. His step count increased during the time he claimed to be out for a walk. The pattern of movement suggested he had been staging the crime scene after Jessica's death to make it look like a burglary. These findings shattered Mitesh's carefully crafted alibi. There was no unknown intruder. Jessica had been attacked within minutes of arriving home, and the killer had been inside the house all along. Detectives started to look into Jessica's personal life. As they interviewed her family, friends, and colleagues, a darker picture emerged. Mitesh and Jessica's marriage had never been one of love and passion. While Jessica was deeply devoted to her husband, Mitesh had married her out of obligation, not love. Coming from a traditional Indian family, he was expected to marry, settle down, and start a family. But Mitesh had been keeping a secret, one that would ultimately drive him to murder. Since childhood, he had known he was attracted to men. But in a conservative community where family honor was everything, coming out was never an option. Instead, he chose to live a double life, maintaining a marriage to Jessica while secretly pursuing relationships with men. Jessica, ever trusting and hopeful, believed in their future together. She longed to build a family, but Mitesh saw her as an obstacle rather than a partner. He isolated her, controlled every aspect of their life, and ensured she remained emotionally dependent on him. For Mitesh, Jessica wasn't a wife. She was a means to an end. In the months leading up to the murder, Mitesh had taken out a £2 million life insurance policy on Jessica. If she died, he would be free from the marriage and financially secure enough to start a new life with his lover, Amit, in Australia. His online searches revealed a chilling level of premeditation. He had researched various murder methods, strangulation techniques, and how to make a crime appear like a burglary. He thought he had covered every angle, every detail, to make it look like a random break-in. But his arrogance became his downfall. He underestimated modern forensic technology. His phone data, his staged crime scene, and his lies all betrayed him. 3 days after Jessica's murder, Mitesh Patel was arrested on suspicion of murder. Despite overwhelming evidence, he denied any involvement. But his lies could not withstand the truth. In court, his secret life, his financial motives, and his premeditated plan were exposed. The jury took just 2 hours to convict him. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 30 years behind bars. For Jessica's family, the pain of betrayal and loss was immeasurable. She had spent years trying to build a life with a man who never truly loved her. The truth was devastating. Jessica had trusted the one person who was always planning her demise. This case serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the greatest danger lies within our own homes. What warning signs did Jessica miss? Could this tragedy have been prevented? Let's discuss in the comments. If you found this case as shocking as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime stories from around the world. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant. This is Crime Tales Across Times.